Hello, it's Jeff and welcome to my admin by request Windows EPM 8.7. I guess it's a kind of a quick look at what the new features are in 8.7 and how those new features are going to be a great benefit to you as an admin by request EPM user. So what I'm going to do is we're going to switch over to the portal view and the endpoint view. You can see here on the release notes on the left hand side, there's really, I guess, three main big features in 8.7. First of all, we have some enhancements to pre-approval to allow you to now pre-approve both the vendor, which was possible before, but now you can also include the application name, and we'll have a look at why that's really useful in a minute. Second of all, you see here we've got now support for versioning. That's quite a popular, well-requested feature, so we'll have a look at how that's useful. And finally, we've got support now for Entra registered devices. So two ways to join your Entra system. You can do a full join with device and user, and you can do a sort of BYOD user registration, which is good if you've got those BYOD users, and you can place what used to be called a workplace join, but is now officially called Entra registered. So that's super good because I think we're pretty one of the only EPM solutions that actually support Entra registered devices, obviously as well as AD and even no join at all. Right then, so I'm going to go and have a look now at my subsettings. So on the right hand side is my test system. The enhancements really for 8.7 are all about pre-approval. So I'm going to head straight down here. So you can see, first of all, let's just turn on approval like so. So this is going to mean that any request that gets sent through is going to need to have a workflow on it. So if I go and let's just say try and start VLC, I'm going to get the request page like so. Okay, so everything is going to hit that request page unless it is blocked or unless we have a pre-approval rule created. Now I do have one which is a network rule, but just ignore that one for a bit. So what I'm going to do is just show you how things used to work prior to 8.7. So if I go into the audit log, and let's just say there's an application called Auto Runs. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's kind of like a handy tool for configuring stuff on your Windows environment for startup things. And let's just say prior to 8.7, if I wanted to sort of pre-approve that, I'd really only have kind of two options. So I would go to pre-approve and I would go to put it in the subsetting. So really I'd have the option to pre-approve the hash. So that would be the unique, I guess, version of auto runs, which would work. But then if users downloaded a slightly different version, an earlier one or a later one, it wouldn't work. So you'd have to create new checksum rules for every single version of auto runs, and of course any application you're doing that with, you'd have to submit a new rule for that. So that could be quite a lot of work to manage. So the other option we had was vendor pre-approval. So that would also work, but if you have a look at the certificate, it's going to allow essentially anything made by Microsoft. So that's a very wide rule. So we have a very narrow rule in the hash checksum, and then we have a very wide rule for the vendor certificate. So this is where 8.7, the new feature, it really helps. So I can basically go here and go runners admin application pre-approval, and then here I can set the digital certificate and the application name, which is Auto Start Program Viewer, as the rule. So unlike before when I could only set Microsoft, now I can say if the file is made by Microsoft plus the name of that file is Auto Start Program Viewer, it will be allowed to run as a pre-approved application. So let's just go ahead and save that rule like so. Back on the endpoint here, if I go and start auto runs like so as admin, it will now, I won't get that workflow, I'm going to be able to start auto runs without any hitting any of those approvals. So if I go and close that now, it takes a little while to close this because it's busy. Okay, it's closed, and if I go and delete the rule, actually before I delete the rule, you should see that if I go to Process Explorer, something also made by Microsoft, and I go to run that as admin, this is going to give me the form for me to submit a request for approval. So you can see we have a Microsoft application, Auto Start Program Viewer, that doesn't need approval, it's pre-approved, and we have another Microsoft application, SysInternals Process Explorer, that we don't have a rule for, and that does need to go through approval. So you can see this is a super useful feature. So I'm going to basically go and delete the rule, and just to prove to you that it's all totally legit, I'm going to go back now. I've deleted the rule, so now with the auto runs, it is going to require me to go ahead and put in a reason to get that approval done. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so hopefully that nicely explains the feature for tying the setting a pre-approval rule for both the vendor certificate and the application name at the same time. Okay, so that's sort of like feature number one. Here we've done that. Very good. Okay, so let's have a look now. And also, by the way, we have exactly the same ability to do a blocking based on the application name and vendor as well. So again, so if we go in here to, let's go and see what we can do here. So maybe I can find an application that is, well, I'll tell you what, maybe I'll go and do the Process Explorer one. Can I find that in here? Process Explorer. Do I have anything that is I can use for a pre-approval rule? Let's just see what's here. I do. Excellent. So what I can do is I can say block this file, set it in a subsetting. So again, in the same way that we did with pre-approval before, I could block the unique file, or I could block the certificate, which in this case would be Microsoft, and I wouldn't want to do that. What I can do now is I can say block the certificate and the application name. Okay, so let's just save that in. There it is, there's block there. So let me just go ahead and try and run now Process Explorer. So it should block me from running that. I should be given a block with a pin override, and then if I go in and delete the rule, like so, it's gone. If I go back now and attempt to run it, so now it's going to, it'll allow it, but it will go through the approval workflow system. So it's not going to give me a block message, but I haven't pre-approved it, so it's going to correctly show me the approval workflow. So there we have application name and vendor certificate, pre-approval and blocking. So let's move on now and look at the second great addition to 8.7, which is the versioning. And what's quite timely about 8.7 is that one of the most popular applications that we use here in Admin by Request for demonstrations, and it's also very popular with customers, is a Notepad++. Now, I don't know if you are aware, but end of last year, I think it was, there was a vulnerability announced for Notepad++. It was quite well publicized to do with the updater. So that's not great, obviously. So they've fixed it in, I think, 8.9. But what we really want to do is we don't want to block all Notepad++, because we want to still use the new patched one. But we want to basically say anything earlier than a certain version can be blocked. And there's another thing as well, is that we have the Meta Defender system built into Admin PowerQuest EPM, and that's still flagging up even the fixed version of Notepad++. So we're going to see how we can overrule that block by using a version pre-approval. Okay, so this should be fun. So first things first is let's just make sure that we've got the workflow thing, so the approval is working. I just want to show you that first of all. So I'm going to try and start Notepad++. It's going to send me through to the workflow. Now that just is fine because I don't have this pre-approved. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you briefly the I'm going to show you what it's like when we don't have workflow, because I want to show you the block, and it's just easier for me to do this without going through the approval process. So if I just try and run 892 now this has been patched, but I'm guessing at Meta Defender they haven't kind of whitelisted it yet. So we'd probably get a blocking message. Okay, so it is a false positive. It happens sometimes, but you know, that is the situation. So what we want to do is we want to create a rule that says allow Notepad++ later than 8.9. Okay, so I'm going to go to the audit log, and I'm going to go into here, global settings, ABR. Okay, so I'm going to put in the minimum version that I want to allow, so 8.9, hit save. Okay, and then I'm going to go and save that over here. So what happens now is if I was going to run 8.9.1, I'm no longer going to get the blocking message after running because it's been pre-approved. Okay, and likewise 8.9.2, that's also going to work. Okay, so if I go and turn my approval back on like so, what you should see now is that versions earlier than 8.9 will be forced through the approval process. So again, if I go and try and run 8.7, this will now present me with a form like that. Okay, and the same goes for 8.8. You can see I get the form again, publisher problem, but that's just the file itself. So that means I can send certain versions of an application through the approval process, and other versions I can allow through pre-approval. Now, let's just say hypothetically here, version 8.7 is super bad and I don't even want that to go through the approval process. Well, this is where the blocking by version can help. So if we go into block, I can go into the audit log and I can go block this file, put it in a subsetting, and just as before, I can select certificate and application name. And so now it's going to block basically Notepad++, but I can say version block now let's see, the maximum version 8 points. We want to say the maximum version to block is 8.7, and let's hit save. Okay, so this should block everything up to 8.7. You shouldn't get the approval, you should just get the blocking message. 8.8 will go for approval, 8.9 will be allowed. So let's just have a look at that. So let's go to 8.7. That's gone like that. Okay, let me see. Maybe what it's done is it's it needs to be, try 8.8. Maybe it's because it's 8.7.6. Let me just try that. Okay, try again, see if we get our blocking message. Yeah, we do, that's good. And let's try 8.8.2. That should go through the approval process. There we go, perfect. Okay, so I think it's taking 8.7 as everything up to 8.7.0, I'm guessing, because 8.7.6 previously, when I put in 8.7, was not blocked. But anyway, you can see here, 8.7 is blocked. Perfect. 8.8 is going through approval. There we go. And 8.9 just runs without the need for any approval. And also we bypass that false positive on the meta defender. So that's super good, because again, previously you wouldn't have been able to block even just an application. You'd have to block the vendor or the checksum, and to do this with checksum rules, you'd have to basically know every single version of Notepad++ and block all the bad ones. So this is actually a really nice way to do it. Okay, so last thing I'm going to do is just show you one other thing, which is the parameters. I don't know if you want to use this, but I just thought I'd demonstrate how it works. So VLC at the moment, if I just run it from my desktop, you should see it does go through the approval process. There we go. What if I want to pre-approve VLC, but I mean, this is just an example. I want to pre-approve it to run in silent mode. Okay, I mean, it could be any application with any parameter, but I only want to pre-approve something with a certain parameter when it's used with the main executable. So how do I do that? So I'm going to go to the audit log again, and I'm going to pre-approve, find a note VLC here, and I'm going to find, that might be the right one, I might not know, it's this one here, I think it is, and let's find one that I can pre-approve. File, I'm going to put it in a subsetting, and just like before, I'm going to select digital certificate and application name. So I'm not going to put any version control on this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a /uppercase S parameter. Like I said before, this could be any application with any particular parameter you want, but I'm just using this as an example to show you that it works. So I put in a /uppercase S, which is silent mode, so I shouldn't get any prompts when installing VLC. It just installs without any kind of needing to push a button. Okay, so let's just save that. There it is, there's the rule. And if we go back to the endpoint, let's just make sure again that the VLC installer is going to take me through to the approval request form. That's good. And then I'm going to go to my handy run command, and you can see here's one I prepared earlier. As they say, this is the command to run the same installer but with the /s. So with that pre-approval rule in there, running it from the run command with the /s is going to mean I don't need to go through approval because we're matching the parameter. So hit OK, and you should see if I hit yes on this, still have to hit yes, but once I hit yes, you should see the VLC logo appear in here as the application installs without the need to go through the approval process. And let's just give it a little few more minutes to install. And there we go. So let me just go back onto the main camera. Excellent then. So there we have it. A little bit, maybe not brief, but slightly extended quick look at admin by request Windows EPM 8.7 functionalities. If you've got any questions, please stick them in the comments under this video. But for now, have a good one and toodaloo. Cheerio.